Welcome to the League of Legends Champions Spotlight, featuring Hecarim, the Shadow of War. Hecarim is a melee fighter who specializes in high mobility and jungling. Whether striking multiple nearby enemies on the move or leading the charge into teamfights, Hecarim exemplifies mobile, high-impact fighting. Hecarim's passive is Warpath. Hecarim ignores unit collision and gains a percentage of his bonus movement speed as bonus damage. Rampage immediately damages all nearby enemies. If it hits, the next activation of Rampage enjoys a lower cooldown down to a cap. If Rampage hasn't hit anything for a few seconds, the cooldown returns to normal. As Hecarim's primary damage source, take Rampage at level 1 and max it by level 9. Spirit of Dread creates an aura around Hecarim for a few seconds that constantly damages all nearby enemies. Additionally, Hecarim heals for a portion of any damage dealt to these enemies. Healing against minions is capped. Because it brings both great damage and health sustain, take a point in Spirit of Dread early and max it by level 13. Devastating Charge grants Hecarim steadily increasing movement speed for a few seconds. If Hecarim attacks an enemy during this time, he deals bonus damage and knocks back his target. Devastating Charge deals even more damage based on how far Hecarim has traveled during the effect. Because it's mostly a utility spell, take a rank of Devastating Charge early, but max it only by level 18. Hecarim's ultimate is Onslaught of Shadows. Hecarim charges to target location, damaging and causing all nearby enemies to flee from Hecarim for a short time. Additionally, Hecarim summons Spectral Riders that charge alongside him, damaging all enemies they strike. Due to the power of the ultimate, rank it as soon as possible at levels 6, 11, and 16. Try to build a mix of damage, toughness, and mobility through your runes, masteries, and items. For example, I take armor penetration marks, flat armor seals, magic resist per level glyphs, and movement speed quintessences. I recommend 9-12-9 masteries, taking armor penetration in offense, health and damage reduction in defense, and movement speed plus neutral buff duration in utility. When not jungling or in Dominion, drop the minion-specific masteries for extra armor and magic resist. In Classic, I open with Boots of Speed and 3 health potions. I rush for Wriggle's Lantern and Aegis of the Legion, before taking defensive boots depending on the enemy team. Trinity Force is the next major buy. After, I grab a mix of damage and durability through Maw of Malmortius and Frozen Heart. In Dominion, my build is similar. I start with Boots of Speed, Prospector's Blade, and 2 health potions. Aegis of the Legion, upgraded boots, and Trinity Force come next. From here, I adapt my build depending on my enemies, choosing among Randuin's Omen, Maw of Malmortius, Sanguine Blade, and Last Whisper. Try to always gank enemies from behind. I activate Devastating Charge, close the distance on Galio, and make sure to push him away from his turret. I keep pace with him while I hit Rampage and Spirit of Dread to deal as much damage as possible, before retreating from the turret and giving Nasus first blood. Let's look back at this fight, because there's something else to point out. Hecarim wants to keep up with enemy champions as long as possible to maximize his damage. Notice how I tell Hecarim to move forward immediately after every basic attack, ensuring that I stay next to Galio as long as possible for more Rampage hits. Make sure to use the most of Hecarim's mechanics. Before I shove Ezreal toward the wall, I first use Rampage, because Devastating Charge's movement speed feeds into Warpath, giving me bonus damage. I chase with Ghost as he runs, using Rampage and Spirit of Dread to kill him without breaking stride. I turn on Kayle and hit Onslaught of Shadows to lock her up under the turret and grab another kill. Finally, with Spirit of Dread still active, I Rampage and smite nearby minions to gain health back as I escape. When jungling, try to keep your cooldown reduction on Rampage alive between camps. To do this, make sure that Rampage is the killing blow on the last monster of the camp, then immediately run to the next one. As soon as you're in range, hit Rampage again to keep the cooldown low and enjoy your extra fast jungle speed. In this case, it let me clear the camps just fast enough to grab the Lizard Elder with Smite and run away with Devastating Charge. Remember that Onslaught of Shadows will constantly force the enemy champions to run away from you. Here I initiate on Rammus and move such that he'll run into my team. I push him with Devastating Charge and stay in front of him, cutting down his health with Rampage. After we pick up the kill, I walk out of turret range and then back across to escape Morgana. By hitting on shadows immediately after activating Devastating Charge, you can give it a lot of bonus damage and set yourself up for an easy knockback. I lock up Galio and we get him extremely